I've always believed that space tells a story, but only if we're curious enough to ask the right questions. When I was a little girl, one of my favorite activities wasn't playing with dolls or riding my bike. It was going to the office with my dad on Saturdays. While he worked, I'd sneak away into the lobby, not to play on the computer or draw on the whiteboard, but to rearrange the furniture. I mean, really rearrange the furniture. One Saturday, it would be an open circle. The next, I'd create little nooks or zigzag walkways. I wanted to see how the space would feel different, how people would move differently. But it didn't just stop there. Eventually, I graduated from lobby designer to, let's just say, unsanctioned personal workspace consultant. And I began tweaking people's personal offices. Some people loved it, others, not so much. But I was obsessed with this one question. What if the environment changed how people felt? This simple question of what if became my design compass. What if we opened up this room? What if we created moments of surprise? What if people felt like they belonged the second they walked in? This curiosity stayed with me throughout my college years, so naturally I joined student activities, which is basically becoming your unofficial campus memory maker. We created events and programs, but what I really loved most was reimagining the space around them. Could a lounge become a pop-up art gallery? Could a boring hallway become a place to spark connection? And along the way, I learned by doing, and sometimes by failing. One of the first events I planned, I was certain the entire campus community was going to show up. I marketed the life out of it, and I planned every detail like it was the Met Gala. And then, maybe 8 people walked in. I was crushed. But a wise mentor pulled me aside and said, hey, listen, you didn't fail. You're just having to start a little smaller than you imagined. So I shifted, and I welcomed those 8 like they were 80. And you know what? We ended up having the best time. And the next event, more people showed up, and more people after that. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't just moving furniture or planning programs. I was designing experiences that made people feel something real, welcomed, inspired, seen. After college, I took this passion of mine into my professional life, still in student activities, but now designing experiences that bring people together and connect them to the life of campus. And here's the truth. It's never just about the event or the furniture or the flyers. It's about creating an emotional blueprint for belonging. So whenever I start a new project, whether it's a campus-wide event or a small leadership retreat, I like to ask myself these 3 questions. How do you want people to feel? What do you want them to remember? And are you willing to try something new, even if it means that you might fail? These 3 questions have become the foundation of everything I do, because it turns out that people may forget the details, but they will never forget how a space or an experience made them feel. And listen, not everything I've tried has worked, and some things have totally flopped. But here's the thing. Innovation isn't about getting it right every time. It's about having the courage to keep asking, what if? What if we changed this layout? What if we invited students to co-create? What if the answer isn't more, but actually less? Over the years, I've seen how the smallest of changes can strengthen connection. One of my favorite examples is when we reimagined Dr. Pepper Hour, not by changing the tradition, but by deepening the connection to it. We created the Dr. Pepper Hour Club, where if you attend 10 Dr. Pepper Hours throughout your time at Baylor University, you get your name on the wall in the student union and your very own VIP glass mug. It was simple, and all of a sudden, people weren't just attending the event, they were becoming a part of its legacy. You could see the pride on their faces when they found their name on the wall in the student union. Another moment that has shaped me is when we created late-night weekend programming. The goal was simple. It wasn't to create another big event. It was to create a space for students to land when campus felt a little quiet. I'll never forget students walking in not knowing a single soul and walking out with friends because the space felt a little bit like home for a few hours. Over the years, I've seen how the shyest of students can come out of their shell simply because a space invites them to linger a little longer, or how unlikely friendships can form over something as simple as a communal table or a spontaneous activity. These aren't just design wins, these are human wins. And it all goes back to that little girl moving furniture, wondering how people might feel if the space were just a little different. We often think of design as something done by professionals and sleek studios with expensive tools, but I believe design is something we all do whenever we think about how we want people to feel welcomed, seen, or celebrated. So whether you're planning a large event, you're redesigning a classroom, or you're hosting a dinner party, the principles are the same. So I will leave you with this. Be curious. Ask what if, not just once, but often. Be intentional. Ask, how do you want people to feel? And be brave. Try that idea, even if it's a little weird, even if not everyone will get it right away. Because when you design with people in mind, you're not just creating space, you're creating stories, you're creating connection, you're creating community. And to me, there is no more beautiful design than that. Thank you.